What's going on, Brookie Nation? We're on episode 30 of Storybook Circus, your Once Upon a Time podcast. My name is the Mackee Mouse.
My name is Ila. 30
How are you?
episodes.
How's everybody doing out there? We're not making like a huge deal of it, but this is kind of a pretty big milestone. 30 episodes?
I know. I feel like we just hit 20 or 10.
Right? This is kind of a big deal. I appreciate the fact that we have been able to make it this far. We're already crushing along in season 2. So in case you randomly stumbled upon our podcast for the first time,
You said 30 is a good number. We'll try with that one.
yeah, why not? That's the one that came out today or this week or whatever. But we are watching the ABC TV show Once Upon a Time that came out 10 years almost to the day. We are rapidly approaching the actual 10-year anniversary of the first episode of Once Upon a Time. So if you like the show and you dig a good fairy tale soap opera, then you have come to the right place. We're watching every single episode from the beginning, and we're going in depth and looking at things that happened during the production and some trivia, and we're actually watching the episode a little bit later on. So so this will be your fun little Once Upon a Time adventure, and if you like what you hear, feel free to go back and listen to it from episode 1, because we listen to every single episode on the air, so you won't be left behind. And you can see how cute it is that our first episode was like an hour and a half, and these are now like 4 hours, so or 3
Growth,
and change.
it's fine.
Growth. It is growth. You know what? I think that's a testament to how much fun we have and how much we like talking about it, that we just didn't stop. That's just our thing now.
We just don't shut up now.
We would love to say hello to the YouTube brookies out there.
Hey.
Because now Ila's new co-share desk or office space is now making its first video debut back there in the background.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So we're recording during the day. So my coworker is not with me right now. But
in the office by yourself.
my office is huge. It's actually supposed to be a dining room, but who has dining rooms anymore? I don't know, not me. So it was my office, but it kind of was just one of those situations where it was too much space, so it was constantly a mess because I don't know, that's how I am. I like small things. So Bart decided to move in because when we record, we kind of record late sometimes I say that, like we're not up until like 2:00 in the morning some nights doing this show. And Bart likes to play video games, so he's kind of lonely in the living room, and I get that because Harper's already sleeping by that time, as good parents put their children to bed at a reasonable hour, of course.
Yes, that's true.
And so he set up a little desk area, and I'm so excited that now we get to spend some extra time together.
It looks great. He's got the sweet rocking chair going on. He's got the ring light back there I can see. Nah, he was kicking it last night while we were taping another show, and it was nice to have...
He's a budding influencer, y'all.
Oh,
follow Sikorsky Bart on Instagram.
He's killing it. I'm so proud of him. Speaking of the other show, what we were taping last night was... very, very exciting beginning of a project. We got our Hamilton episode,
the long-awaited
on Patreon. So pumped for that. So if you have not already gotten the emails and the Discord alerts, and you're somehow listening to this and haven't gotten those yet, go check out your inboxes and your posts on Patreon. If you're not yet a member of the Patreon, it would be a good time if you dig Hamilton to come check it out. It would be at patreon.com/the SBC pod. It is the Brookie Movie Club tier is where that post got sent. Actually, it's got sent to both tiers because the ones on this island tier, the higher tier, gets both benefits. But we did Act 1 yesterday because each act is like an hour and a half or so, and then we stopped to talk about it. So it ended up being,
We entertained the idea that it would be one episode. We thought, let's do a Hamilton episode, one single one, both acts. We'll get this done. If you're thinking, I'm not going to join this Patreon because I don't think I'm getting a lot of content. Well, part 1 is up right now and it's 5 hours.
It is literally 5 hours of content, just shy of 5 hours of content. We split Act 1. It was split up into 2.5 hour episodes. And here's kind of what happened. Here's why, is because we decided before we started recording that we were going to say all of the things that we needed to say about this. We didn't put a restriction on ourselves, which is kind of why we released it on Patreon, so we would have no, issues doing it the way we wanted to do it. We have too many times been not able to fully express ourselves because of time or because of whatever. So we were like, you know what, this time we're just going to leave it all out on the table. And boy, did we. We did every number, all of the things that we knew about it, little trivia things or, background information, or just talking about what it means and like for society or for culture or for us as individuals. So if you already love Hamilton and you want to get a little bit deeper, please come check that out. If you have never seen Hamilton and you don't understand what the hype is, this would be a good one maybe to find out. Because we don't just watch a show and go, yay, I like it because everyone else likes it. Like we go in pretty
We are
deep.
very specific and detailed.
Yeah, which I've been waiting
and
to
poured
do.
our hearts out for 5 hours.
I've been waiting to do since last July when it actually came out. I think both of us really have. We've been talking to each other about it and talking to our friends about it. And so that's kind of why it's taken so long, because we really wanted to not just skip over it. We wanted to do it for real justice. And I, for one, happen to be very proud of...
I was just going to say the same thing.
Really? Because we're twins. We really are like extremely proud of what we put out. And I was listening to it because, as we always do, we recorded it in like 7 parts over like multiple days. But I was editing as we go, and as I was listening to it, I was like, this is exactly what I pictured. This is what I wanted to release. Even in the way that it sounds and the way that, we kind of jump in the middle of songs while it's playing sometimes, and then sometimes we stop. And I was playing some of it back for Ila, and we were like, wow, it actually sounds kind of better than what we had hoped for. So all of that is to say, extremely proud and happy that we were able to finally release it. And it released a couple hours ago, so it is fresh on the market by the time this episode releases at the end of the week. It will be a couple days old, but there it is, patreon.com/the SBC pod. That's where the Broadway party is
where
happening.
It is.
And the future movie things are happening, and the ones on this island tier, the higher tier, is up next, because the next thing that we're going to do is continue our Lost journey. So if you like Lost and Hamilton, no brainer. If you like one of those, then obviously just choose one of the tiers. But like for the Lost people, that is the next thing that we're going to record, is continuing on our episode by episode rewatch of Lost, which obviously is going to take a little bit longer than SBC because we don't do it every single week, but we are trying our absolute hardest to get as much of this content in as possible with our 2 full-time jobs.
So if you want to be in the room where it happened, go join our Patreon.
So good. That was a sick plug. I love
Hashtag
it.
ad.
Hashtag ad. So with that all said, we would
Let's
like to
talk
get
about
to our segment dedicated to you, the listener, and it is called the Storybook Daily Mirror. So the Storybook Daily Mirror is our section, as we said, dedicated to you, the listener. You may be wondering, what the heck is a Daily Mirror and how is it dedicated to me? Ila, would you like to tell the people how the Storybook Daily Mirror works?
Did you know that we have a phone number?
I bet you didn't.
I bet you didn't. That phone number is...
It's 207-536-8512.
If you call that number, you're able to leave a voicemail. If you text that number, we will read it on the air. We will also play your voicemail on the air if you would like us to. And we're going to talk to you about all of your thoughts and feelings. We want to know how you feel about the show, either Storybook Circus or Once Upon a Time, or both. Tell us your faves. Tell us your least faves. You can send us a DM on Instagram, the SBC Pod. You can send us an email to that same name, the sbcpod@gmail.com. And the most important way to be a part of the Storybook Daily Mirror is to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because when you leave us those 5-star reviews, it gets our name up there so other brookies can start looking for Once Upon a Time podcast and they can find us and join the club.
That was lovely, Ila. Thank you so much for telling the people how they can get involved.
So now, let's read an installment of the Storybook Daily Mirror where we get into our review. We got a review.
We got a review. That's so exciting. Reviews are a big deal. Reviews are a big deal.
Yeah,
we also heard
them.
word, by the way, that the Apple podcast reviews are being weird. And some people were putting in reviews and telling us that they put a review in, but podcast didn't pick it up for some reason. So if you have any weird issues, if you like tried to put one in and it didn't show up for some reason, just hit us up on one of our like DMs or email or something, and we'll see if we can figure it out. Anyway, we got a new one, which is super exciting.
So this is from Bunny Fufu Headface, titled My Favorite.
Love it.
So I listen to a lot of podcasts, some for information, some for entertainment, some just for fun. This podcast is one that has all of these things, plus two very lovely hosts who are so relatable. Oh my God, love you so much. When I listen every week, I learn stuff, am very entertained, and enjoy every bit of the thought-provoking discussion about one of my favorite TV shows. Thank you so much, Bunny Fufu.
Okay, I happen to already know who this is. This is Heather Lee from our Discord because she told me so. But we appreciate the contribution to our Storybook Daily Mirror and a review. Every single time we get a review like that, we are extremely, extremely grateful.
They make us so happy.
They make us happy. They also help other people find it. And we are now on the path to try to find additional people to let them know that we exist, to let them know that this show is here, because we know there are other people out there who love Once Upon a Time. So if you know them, it's a great time to rewatch a show from 10 years ago that they loved. So let them know
right now.
Let them know. Be our evangelists out there and go let the people know the word of the Storybook Daily Mirror. So we also have a couple of voicemails. The first voicemail is from our friend Jonathan. So let's hear what Jonathan has to say.
Hey, Mackee and Ila. It's Jonathan from Georgia. Hey. I just finished the episode on Tallahassee, and I had a few things I wanted to say. First of all, I know it's been a couple weeks since I called in. August, no pun intended, but the month of August wasn't the best month for me, but your podcast really helped a lot to stabilize myself emotionally, so thank you for that. And secondly, I probably won't be calling in a whole lot in the next month or so because I start my new job. My first contract since COVID next week up in Massachusetts, so I'm very excited about that. However, I will be listening and all that. So, my thoughts were, since I haven't said anything since Hook made his appearance, I love Colin O'Donoghue. I think he's a wonderful actor, and I think he does a really good job with the character that they wrote. I don't like the character they wrote specifically because I'm not a fan of the soap opera trope of, the really hot, mysterious guy who then becomes the interest of the leading lady. And I feel like one of the parts of the show as going forward that I like least is the Emma love life. Who will she be with? Blah, 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 blah. Just because it's not interesting to me. And so that's okay. However, I think he does a great job. I don't want to get canceled I don't hate Hook. I don't like necessarily the role that he plays.
We're not canceling
in the show going forward. But Colin O'Donoghue is amazing. I love Neil. Michael Raymond James is great in this last episode. And I agree with Mackee that Emma is showing her growth and hope. And if I don't recall, it has been a while since I've seen the show, if she will go backwards or not. But let's hope that she stays on the forward trajectory, because I love Jennifer Morrison, and I think she's a very good actress. But sometimes the writing does make it difficult for her. All right.
Yep.
Have a great day. Love y'all. Mwah.
Thank you, Jonathan, for that. It always feels he just feels like an old friend catching up, calls you, and
really
like,
every time.
It's so nice. It's really refreshing. First of all, so happy you got your first contract since COVID. It's up in Massachusetts.
Know, amazing.
Also very exciting. Like, this is great. I mean, if there's ever a reason for you to not be, also don't feel pressured to call in. We love every single time you call in, but don't feel like you have to.
But big news! You have such big things happening for you. Yeah. That's incredible.
That's so awesome. I'm glad to hear.
We're proud of you. We're rooting for you over here at SBC.
Woo woo woo. I agree with all of your thoughts. I do love Colin O'Donoghue. I get why you wouldn't like that soap opera trope of like just forcing the romance in there just to force it. I get that. I'm all about it. I feel like, because
Yeah, like
I
I
like
get it.
that
I'm not
relationship.
canceling you, but I love that.
I do too. I mean, that's just a thing that turns into that very like personal, like Jane the Virgin we talked about before, of just like there is a little bit of that, and that is super satire. It's done for comedy, but I can see why they would go back to their soap opera roots and start telling that story. Makes sense. And I could understand people who don't enjoy that type of story being told. I also respect the fact that you still like the show despite it's like, oh, there's just like thing you have to tolerate now of this, like, will they, won't they, and this hard thing. And there's still parts of the show that still appeal to you besides that romantic thing, which I think is a good testament to the show not leaving you behind just because they need to go investigate this romance thing. Like they do, I think, serve multiple audiences, I think, pretty well, to be honest. But I totally get it, and no one will cancel you. We know that you don't hate Hook. That's you make a very compelling argument. And the thing about Emma's growth too, whether or not she goes backwards, and as I kind of recall, it does wobble a little bit here and there, but most of it comes from belief and faith, and I think as the time goes on, that will become less of a problem because she starts to settle in, essentially. I mean, which makes perfect sense just with time. It just takes time. And all of the characters, I think, experience some level of growth. Some just do it more abruptly than others. Like Mary Margaret snapped right into Snow. There was no transition period. It just became very comfortable for her. A few characters just became comfortable. Weirdly, David and Charming kind of were already the same person, so he just was extra David and now he's Charming. Like it didn't really but some other characters are really kind of starting to settle into their new skin. You know what I mean? They're kind of starting to get used to being a fairy tale character again, even though they're in a land without magic. So I do like Emma's probably got the biggest distance to travel because out of all of them, she's the only one who like didn't experience this before. So she's starting from scratch for the most part. And I suppose the kids too, which we don't see much of, but I'm like, yo, where's Hansel and Gretel at?
Like,
you know what I mean?
They just got abandoned again.
Also,
like,
who are all of the kids in the school? Like, are they just villager kids, or like who?
Right? Are these people from like different villages? Like, I don't know.
Right.
I
don't know. I mean, it's not really super important to the story. It's just random things that I think about. But thank you again for your.
I asked who ran the Chinese place when like.
Oh, I still want to know that. Who is it? Is it like maybe it's like Mulan's family? Is that really racist?
Yeah.
We know Mulan exists, right? It's the only Asian person we've seen the whole time. Just saying. If they wanted us to follow that storyline, they're not doing it.
That's what they would do. That's what ABC would do, though.
They would. They literally would. And that would be really racist. They'd be like, where is Mulan in Storybrooke? Like, oh, our family runs the Chinese store. Yeah, exactly. That's so screwed up. All right,
but it's true.
We're gonna rapidly move past that. so we don't get canceled. All right. Our next voicemail is from our friend Tana Ran. All right, let's hear it. Let's hear what Taryn's got to say.
Good morning. It's Taryn from Texas. I'm currently sitting in the Starbucks parking lot before going to practice, and I'm listening to. I think it was last week. I don't know. I'm a couple weeks behind because school is kicking my butt. But y'all were talking about those movies where they jam-pack a whole bunch of stars. And I just wanted to tell a fun fact, which I'm sure that you already know, but it's still a fun fact that I'm going to share it anyway. So when stars make contracts with these big movie companies, they make contracts for a certain number of movies. And so a lot of the time, they are like looking to get out of those contracts and like get them done so they can get their full pay. So they all agree to do those movies because it's like their last movie. If you remember, there was like a garbage film. And when I say garbage, I don't mean it was like, actually, it had bad ratings. It was called 43, and it was basically a bunch of like skits. And it was because all of these actors had one film left on all of their contracts with whoever did it. And so they made this just horrendous, like, sketch, short movie thing. But anyway, so so that's why we have all those movies like Valentine's Day and all the other holidays, so that they can get out of their contracts and get them done and get paid.
I love Valentine's
it's time
Day.
for me to get my coffee. I love you both. I like to pretend that I know you in real life, because when I talk about you to my friends, they're like, oh, how long have you guys known each other? And I'm like, oh, forever. We're definitely not just internet friends. Well, that was weird. Anyways, okay. Love you guys. Bye. Have a great day. Okay. Okay, I'm going now. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Oh, okay, I'll hang up. Okay, bye.
Okay, I really love that voice.
I need to be transparent right now and say that I actually read this transcription.
Oh, the transcription is bonkers on Google Voice.
So here's the issue. I read the transcription and didn't listen to the voicemail.
Oh, Lord.
So all I saw was, hey, this is Jeff
from Texas, first of all.
And I kept on reading it, and I saw the fun fact, which I did not know, Tanaran. I did not know that that's why they did this.
And I didn't know that either. I mean, I guess
that's a really fun fact, because
awesome.
I actually love those cheesy garbage movies.
I do too. I'm embarrassed.
I love them so much.
I love Valentine's Day. Okay, never mind.
But then I was reading it, and at the end, it was like, I love you so much. I feel like we're real friends. And I just kept on being like, who the fuck is Jeff from Texas? I feel terrible right now that I don't know him. Who are you? So I'm truly glad to know that it's Tanaran.
Tanaran. This gave me when you talk to your, I mean, both these, first of all, everybody who calls in, everybody who texts, we appreciate every single one of you, honestly, from the bottom of our heart. It really does make us feel more connected to the people who we're talking to. And it's just, especially when we get repeat callers, it really does, you get the chills of those, somebody you haven't talked to in years. It always, every single time, even though we talk to you every other week or a few times a month, for some reason it feels like we have, I'm like, oh my God, you're catching up with your friend you haven't talked to in so long. And you need to catch
you're
up.
Waiting in the Starbucks line, so you thought to give us a call.
I love that. Oh my God.
And people in the Discord keep on saying oh my gosh, I feel like I'm just saying a bunch of random nonsense.
No.
I don't know if it makes any sense. Lucas said that yesterday, and I was like,
yeah.
No.
Nope. That's
this
not
is
it.
how we talk. I love when people call and text and spitting random things at me. I'm like,
yeah.
Yes.
No,
I'm listening.
This is
I'm
how
here.
this is how we communicate. I'm glad that you guys are very much like us. We all communicate the same way. And you guys are worried that we're going to judge you. And meanwhile, we're over here no, we talk like that too.
Yeah.
That's how we talk to each other, honestly. Taryn, this is awesome, and you have known us forever, and we are definitely not just internet friends. It's just circumstance that we happen to not have been able to coordinate a vacation together. That's all it is. So you can tell your friends.
I do know what she's talking about though. When people always ask me, even you or Jesse, people are like, oh my God, how do you guys know each other? And I have to be like, it's fine. It's Disney World Instagram. I'm oh my God, I know I took an entire program about how you're not supposed to talk to strangers on the internet. I don't really want to talk about it right now.
It's a different time now, right? Because strangers on the internet in the early 2000s
sometimes safer than your family members.
Well, there's that. Well, in the early 2000s, where that started and where that came from was because that was so prevalent, and it's such a common expression and communication tool now that I have family members I haven't seen in way longer periods of time than I have seen you in the last few months, and I communicate with them the same way. You know what I mean? It's just I mean, you still have to be careful of creepy people, but the internet is not just a cesspool now of really everyone's a stranger. You know what I mean? Now, because everything is so digitally connected, it's very easy to make solid relationships, just as solid relationships, I would argue, with people virtually than it is in person. Almost easier, in fact. And now we've got COVID going on, and what is everybody's work life and Zoom meetings? I've met more people that work for the company that I work for now because of Zoom calls connecting us together than I ever did in my little tiny corner of my one department in my one office with the same 6 people all the time. You know what I mean?
No, for sure.
It's such a weird thing that to the point where we now have meetings that are work. They started it at work, right, from official channels, but are not us talking about projects. They were mental check-in things that some leaders would do. And we, we talked to each other for weeks and weeks and months of just like support groups of just to help each other out. And then we'd see each other in person in the park, knowing these like intimate details about each other that we're all sharing of like our stresses and what concerns us and what makes us, you know, keeps us going, and people in these meetings, you know, who are like pouring their heart out. And then you like meet them, and some of them in some cases where you've never met, you meet them in person for the first time and you're like, we're friends. Like, we're already friends. It doesn't matter now whether I've spent time with you in real life or not, because the time that I have spent with you is quality time. And I think that's true of internet friends too.
It's a real connection.
Really. And I would agree that a lot of the people that we are meeting, you know, and we're not talking about necessarily somebody who texts one time, right? I mean, we love every contribution. That's the beginning of something. But some of these people, I say we, not even just me, like my wife, Taryn, has also been talking to her since way before we even started the podcast. And we've like established relationships with people. The connections are just as real as if you meet them in real life. I would argue we've spent more time on here than we would have for a couple hours at a bar. We've spent weeks and weeks and weeks together sharing things and laughing and, you know, learning, and you know what I mean? You could still meet a person in real life who has bad intentions. That's not totally safe and foolproof. You could meet somebody who's like Joe from who's a psycho serial killer. You know what I mean? Like that's real. That exists. So it's just.
Oh my God, Yu's coming back.
I said that for a reason. I'm really excited about that.
I'm really excited.
We started rewatching the first season. Is it one season?
Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, we're doing a rewatch so that we can like be ready for the new one. Is that going to be our new book club?
Baby.
Do you want to? Yeah. Have you seen the promo?
Yes, I have.
Oh, it's so good. As soon as it started, I was like, is that... You
need to watch clickbait.
I think I came out of my office and I was like, was that Joe? Like I heard it on her phone. And I was
sorry. I watched this entire series in between tapings. So I haven't even talked about it yet.
Clickbait?
As my clickbait on Netflix.
Oh yeah, you did. You said that in one of our chats.
Wild.
You were like 19 out of 10. Is that what that conversation
Yeah, it's
was?
as crazy as like you. Like it's...
Really?
But it's a limited series.
Oh, it's just like a few episodes.
It's like 8 episodes. Oh yeah, I did talk about this I just started it when we were recording last week, and I was like, I don't know, I think it's gonna be really good. Update. I had zero idea how it was going to end. I really thought I had it. I'm usually pretty good at stuff like that. And I was out of left field, and it was perfect.
That is good writing right there. When you think you have a perfect handle on it, and then you realize
I'm like, oh, yuck, I got this. I know it's good. And then they said what really happened, and I was like, never mind.
Yeah, it's a little bit it's a new, I think, relatively new style of storytelling that like WandaVision did too, where they like try to lead you, and it's a little bit magician misdirection.
Yeah,
like here's what it is. You think you know everything, and then you know they hit you with like some Agatha shit or something. And you're just like,
those are my favorite type of things to watch because I love being so mind blown like that.
Me too. And then you have to like reevaluate everything that you've been thinking the whole time.
I say this, and I've said this on this podcast multiple times, but The Sixth Sense, I did that. I watched it through, was completely mind blown, and then immediately restarted it because I was like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
What did I miss?
And the last time you said that, I replugged the Lost show that we're doing, because that's what we're doing with Lost. We're watching it as if we just watched it over again. Like, okay, wait, let's see if based on everything we know, we can make sense of some of the little clues and blah, blah, blah in the beginning, you know?
Right, the timeline, or like what's real and what's not. Yes.
Or like connections of people hiding things, and, you know, knowing now that you know people's secrets, does it feel different? Does it, you know?
Right.
I mean, honestly, Hamilton had a little bit of that too, of like this is the first time that we've watched it since I've found out about this whole Eye of the Hurricane and the timeline thing. But look at how different the watch is.
So different now.
You know what I mean?
Watching that through, ever since you said it, seeing everything, even though I'm so blue and it switched, which I'm giving you guys free content right now that's on Patreon. Yeah, there's a lot of a completely different light to be watching it in.
The funny part is there's a fair amount of stuff like that is either 100% not based in truth. It's just made up because it's coincidental and easy to explain. Because Lost is like that too. There's a bunch of stuff that we're like, oh, well, this means this. And like the writers never intended for that to happen. But it all lines up in this nice, neat little package. So that becomes retconned in or headcanon for people who watch it. And then like a lot of Star Wars things like that too, they just go, oh, well, this is the connection between this person and this person. And this is Chewbacca's, you know, family is actually the blah, blah, blah. And like, if you just say it enough and that feels good to the story you tell, it's all made up anyway. anyway. So that'll just be what you believe. That's fine. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of these things where like, did Lin-Manuel actually do all these musical things that this guy on YouTube was saying? Maybe.
Yeah, but I think he
also,
did.
maybe it just sounded good and that's why he did it. And then now we're putting all these rappers and explanations on top of it to justify why it's so good. But to me, even if you take yourself out of that, I think that's just as fun, is to find these connections, because it's even if it's not what they intended, it's cool that it still links. Like, how could they not mean for that and it still work? You know what I mean? Like, and every single time it happens, that definition applies perfectly. Like this Eye of the Hurricane thing that we're talking about is a new kind of lens to watch Hamilton through, and every single time that it occurs in the show we pointed it out, and every time we were blown away at like, oh shoot, that works there too. Like, it lines up through the whole show. And there's other things too, other little trivia things, or like reasonings for why the orchestrator chose the instruments he did, or why he chose to turn a phrase that he did. Like, it all means something. I mean, we like to put meaning to our life, right? Just to be like, everything has a meaning. Like, some stuff is random,
of course,
but finding the meaning is fun. Finding the meaning is fun, and I think that's what we do with Once Upon a Time too. Like, some of this shit is totally fake, we're just making it up, but it's fun to try to, like, you know,
but it's fun doing it.
Yeah. Taryn, thank you for this lovely voicemail once again. We'll give you claps again.
Thank you.
But you now don't have to pretend that you know us in real life, because you do. All we're missing is
this is our real life.
That's true. This is our real life.
That's another soapbox that I'm not going to get on right now, but like, Instagram can be your real life. It's
That's
okay.
True. Yeah, it is. It is an extension of your real life.
Not everything. You know what I mean? No, I'm not going to go there right now. I'm not going to.
Maybe we'll
make
do
that an entire Patreon content.
Maybe maybe we'll
soapbox.
do a bonus content episode where we just talk about. It'll be a soapbox episode where people can just hear us complain about stuff. I'm sure they want to hear that.
When people invalidate my like life on social media, where they're like, "Well, that's not real." I'm like, "Well, it's fucking real to me." So
yeah, seriously. Just because you treat it like some kind of weird People magazine version of your life doesn't mean that I do. Anyway.
Oh my gosh! Speaking of,
yes.
Today was my baby's first day of preschool.
Oh my god! Why didn't we talk about that? I forgot to talk about it.
I'm gonna throw it in right now. The moment's not gone. It's right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, HJ, first day of school.
Arbor Jane had her first day of preschool today. She looked so freaking cute.
She looked so good. The fit was perfect. The boots, especially.
School has a theme every year for the school year. Last year it was Camp Out.
Mm-hmm.
Super cute and stuff. And then I found out the theme for this year, so I thought outfit kind of has to go with the theme. It's the Wild West this year.
Really?
Like this cute as hell cowboy theme they got going on. Like when we pulled up, they have like the saloon doors, and like their little like they have like a little timeout section. Obviously they're a bunch of little toddlers. And she put a little sign that says jail.
Like, oh my god,
county jail.
I love this.
But there's bales of hay. She got everyone one of those sticks with the horse head on it, like with the
that you can
old
ride
school
on.
toy. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I can't wait for her to come home and be like, I went to jail today.
I cannot. No, we never want Harper to have a naughty circle.
But she's gonna. And when she comes home and talks about it on the air because we're recording, I'm gonna ring the bell.
She's in this cutie little rust-colored dress today with her little brown booties, and oh my god, we're so proud of her.
Guys, go check out Ila's all the social media. We should repost it on SBC too, now that we've talked about it on the show. We'll put it up on the story. Because she looked great. She looked amazing. I wish I had a first day of school. Like, I wish I had the summer off so I can come back to work and look and fly, you know? I don't know what my version of that is.
I did that for my first day of work. I love the first day of school. I live for this. Making that sign, as tedious as it is, I love doing it every year. It's these are the mom things that I'm like, I get so excited about these mom things. Like, I know that it's fall now, so I know that the Halloween party's coming up, the apple picking's coming up. And
apple picking. I've never been apple picking. I really want to.
What?
Yeah, I've never done it.
Like pumpkin picking and apple picking? You've never like gone to the farm?
I'm not really a farm kid.
You are from New York. Never mind. Yeah. I don't know why I'm doing this right now.
I'm not really like a farm. But the things that I think are really cute date thing. Although we did we did go to a farm that was here. We didn't go pumpkin picking, but we went to a pumpkin farm where they were and like took pictures and hung out. But it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Next year, you have to like come up here for the fall.
I would love that. That would be really fun. We can do
Because the pumpkin picking is everything. They have baby goats.
Oh my gosh. I've never really done like the
and
like
a
local
general store.
Oh, we have a place called Showcase of Citrus, which is similar, just like Florida's weird orange version of that, where there's like a little store, right? And there's a very, very small zoo in the background. There's just like animals in cages and stuff. It's like ostriches and kangaroos and like really weird exotic animals.
Very Florida.
Very, yeah. And they're just like walking around back there and you can get food and feed them and stuff. And then in the very back, there's an orchard and you can, not an orchard, I guess whatever the orange version of an orchard is. And orange vines? I don't know.
An orchard?
Is it still an orchard? Is it the orchards are just apples?
I don't know.
I don't know outside nature stuff. But we have gone there and like taken pictures there, but not like gone for picking stuff. So maybe it'll be a little thing for us to check off on our box of things to do.
Ours has a little like petting it, like baby goats, llamas, and then they have like the store that has all the apple things, like apple cider donuts that are made there, sundaes, like pies.
That is the one thing I miss about the North. Things like that. Just in general,
it just feels so good.
And like when I say the North, I really mean north of New York. Like you are where the North starts for me. New York City does not count. Northern, yes,
New England,
but it's not like suburban at all because it's just like, well, New York City specifically, and upstate New York. What the hell is in upstate New York? Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
So no. Like Connecticut, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, all that stuff up there is more like like North Country. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When you think of like
Boston,
fall. In the North.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because even New York, that kind of fall that's not what it is.
Yeah, no. Harbor sees a leaf fall and she goes, the leaves are falling. It's almost pumpkin picking.
I love that. That's a part of her like childhood. That's amazing.
But she like has like a whole, she's like, and then we get a Christmas tree and we cut it down. I'm like, okay.
It just accelerates that quickly. All the things, they all happen, right? They all happen from like October 1st. This is
the best time of the year.
Or like, I guess the middle of September until New Year's. And then it's like crap winter, like the dirty winter. You're just waiting for it to go away. And then it's all the hot stuff. But all of the like condensed things of like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas all in a row. And then everyone's done for the end of the year. And, you know, it's a good time. Wow, we really went off the rails. Hi, Storybook Daily Mirror is over. Welcome to our show. All right, so let's talk about some pre-show stuff now. So the episode that we're doing today is season 2, episode 7, which is called Child of the Moon. We established during the promo last week that this was a Red Riding Hood story, which I'm really excited about because I'm a Meg and Ori stan. November 11th, 2012. It's kind of cool that we're like up close to real time. Like we're, you know, like it's a year after it started, but still like we're getting close to like
we're following it pretty closely.
Time of year. Yeah. So yeah, November 11th, it was written by Ian Goldberg and Andrew Chambliss, which are, you know, I was about to say friends of the show. They made the show. I'm stupid. We are familiar with their names because they show up a lot in season 1. They did, I'm looking through right now. They did The Shepherd, David. They did The Fruit of the Poisonous Tree, which is Sydney. That's the genie one.
Oh, the genie episode.
Mm-hmm. They also did Heart of Darkness, which is the attorney. Oh, Mr. Gold is the attorney, and Catherine is still missing, and Snow is being tried. And in the Enchanted Forest, this is when Snow White goes nuts, and her memory is all screwed up. And also The Stranger, so that's when August comes to town. And have they done stuff in season 2 yet? Lady of the Lake, which is the Lancelot episode. Mr. Lafayette, hard rock like Lancelot. Still had it queued up, so
never missed an opportunity to use that sound.
So here we go, and then with Child of the Moon, and it looks like they're gonna have 2 more episodes before the end of the season, 3 more episodes for the end of the season. They're in there. It's directed by a new guy, Anthony Hemingway. new director for Once Upon a Time, at least. Last week's was 10.15 million. This week is 8.75. I guess it's like the side story. Like Red Riding Hood is not like the main thing. So
yeah, but like what a dip.
I know it's a pretty big dip. And I don't know if it's just because it's starting to get to be holiday season and people are busy, so they like now they're not catching things on air right away.
When
Maybe they watched but later or something. The synopsis is Ruby's fear about turning into a wolf during the first curse-free Storybrooke full moon is confirmed when one of the town's residents is viciously murdered, and Ruby is the prime suspect. Decker, aka King George, I think it's Albert Decker, maybe something like that, something with an A, threatens to expose David Nolan as a shepherd, not a prince, because he's the only one who knows that he's not.
Oh my gosh.
And not fit to run the town as sheriff. Pause. Can you imagine the gall of this guy to be like, oh, that guy used to be a shepherd and he can't be your sheriff, and everyone's like, also
we don't care.
Like how embarrassing is that for him to be like, he used to pick his nose, so
that's
he can't hold
the
the gun.
straw that you're grasping at right now.
Which is going to be interesting to see how people are like, yeah,
react
you
to
know
that.
what,
Yeah.
you're right. That's going to be a little bit of bad writing that I don't like. I can tell you right now, because that's not realistic. I want at least one person to be like, so that's
Who
the
cares?
stupidest thing I've ever heard. Although I understand the like, you've been lying to us in the Enchanted Forest concern. Fine. But not fit to run as the town sheriff is like, is anybody really fit to do the things that they're doing right now? We're all fake fairy tale characters who've been pretending this whole time. Shut up. I continue. As Leroy stumbles upon some treasure in the Storybook mine that could help bring Mary Margaret and Emma back into our world. Finally, some progress with all the digging that's been going on. Meanwhile, in the fairy tale land, Red Riding Hood finds a kindred spirit in Anita, a charismatic and mysterious leader of a pack of humans who, like Red, turn out to be wolves.
Oh my gosh, this is the Twilight crossover episode.
A wolf pack. Oh my God. That's amazing. That would be so good. She meets a young man named Jacob who suspiciously never wears a shirt. So we're going to meet Anita, who is we don't know if they are actual werewolves or if they're like, this animagus type of Harry Potter thing where they can just shapeshift or something like that. But it's the first I'm assuming people who she would be able to relate to. So that'll be nice. And we don't know if they're a pack of bad people, like just, villains of some kind. Like
good witch or a bad
good
witch?
Witch or a bad witch. But I like the fact that we're going to finally get some progress of finally getting Mary Margaret and Emma. I'm a little tired of them being over.
I know. Like, can we get them out of there, please?
It feels a little bit
I feel
long.
like you guys aren't doing enough.
Yeah.
To get them back.
Although we did get Hook over there and we still don't know where Cora is. And there are some things that it just feels like it's dragging a little bit. This is how I felt in the middle of the love triangle stuff. It felt like 1 or 2 episodes too many of that particular story. Where in a serialized episodic, I kind of want the stories that are not the main one to like wrap up a little quicker. But
yeah, I agree.
Well, it's not because I want to rush it. It's because I want that to wrap up so we can get to another story. Like I want to put more mini stories in instead of a longer, like fewer number of stories but drawn out. So that's the kind of information about the episode. So now we can talk about our production notes. Production notes is when we talk about things that happened during taping. Some behind the scenes trivia, some set information, costume information, stuff like that. And so I keep forgetting that we are now sharing the duties of production notes so that it can be a team effort. So take it away.
Hi guys. A scene was filmed where David is driving at speed down. What? Can I not talk? Maybe I shouldn't.
No, it's just written weird.
A scene was filmed where David is driving at speed down. Okay, what? Down Main Street in the sheriff's. What does that mean?
I think it means that he's fully driving. Like usually
as opposed to what?
As opposed to accelerating. Like you're
okay.
Like that's what I said. It was worded really weird.
All right, David's driving down the street.
Like it's irrelevant. He's driving. Like who cares what speed he's going?
Mother Superior eventually gets into the car with him and they drive down Main Street together.
This is so weird. It's a deleted scene. It doesn't matter. I thought it was going to mean something. It's just they filmed something where he's driving and then she gets in the car and they drive down the street. But because we have no context, we don't even know why that's important. So apparently they're probably going to cut to like they're already driving.
I just threw up for no reason.
It's whatever. It's really bizarre. Okay. Well, the title card that we're gonna get is Red Riding Hood, and I think I put another one in here. Did I not write it in? Oh, and that this same title card is the same one. Since it's a Red Riding Hood episode, they literally just like use the Red Riding Hood title card. It's the same one for 715, which she was also in, and it's the same one for Red Handed.
Yeah.
Which is the last episode before this Red Riding Hood story. So they were just like, yeah, recycle the Red Riding Hood thing. So thanks, guys, for being lazy, but whatever.
And then according to show creators Adam Horowitz and Edward Kitsis, the inspiration for this episode came from the Rolling Stones, in particular, the title Child of the Moon, which came from the B-side to their single Jumping Jack Flash, and the design for Anita's den. The design of the den was based on the Moroccan city Marrakesh, where the famous rock band spent some time in 1967 while awaiting a verdict on drug charges against them in their homeland.
And probably also doing more drugs.
Listen, we love the Rolling Stones in this house.
Rolling Stones. Jumping Jack Flash is a great song that does not get enough love these days, let me tell you. Because I will send you a video there's a place close by to our house that is like an outdoor like shopping dining area, sort of like Disney Springs, but a lot smaller. And occasionally there are musicians on a little tiny stage that they have there. And it was these two older dudes. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I wasn't paying attention. Two guys playing guitar, both singing. And they have some like looping machine in front of them or something. And they also had smoke. They had smoke and a fan, like just weird, like dry ice type of smoke, like CO2 stuff. And I'm like, what? This is weird. So I started listening and they were playing Jumping Jack Flash. And I was like, oh, okay. And I started like soloing over it with their looper. And they were so good. It was such a laid back group. Like the young acts are sometimes doing too much. They're trying a little too hard, to be like, hello to everybody. And these just like older dudes you'd find at a dive bar. And they crushed this song. They were super charismatic and they were talking to, like I always complain, about presenting to the class, talking to the audience too much, right? And that we in this show, we're talking to each other. You know what I mean? We're on like a phone call that people are listening in on. That's what they were doing on stage. They were talking to each other, and they were like, every once in a while, they would like wink and a nudge to the audience. But for the most part, it was like they were in a room just playing to each other, and that people were listening in. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. But it was Jumping Jack Flash. They were doing a bunch of Stone stuff. And I was like, that really doesn't get played as much anymore. So I appreciate a good Rolling Stones.
That's awesome.
Reference. I know that was a little bit of a sidetrack, but
no,
I liked it. Also, the Moroccan city of Marrakesh is also where Morocco in Epcot is based on.
Really?
Same style, yeah.
Oh yeah, they do call it like the Marrakesh Market or something like that.
It's the architecture and all of the flourishes and the stuff on the arches around doors and windows and all that kind of stuff is all
really an underrated pavilion in Epcot World Showcase.
Saying. Like
so
when you think
beautiful.
of like Aladdin type Middle East, that's really what you're thinking of. Is that
it's so much fun.
Old school style, yeah.
Yeah, we did a meet and greet with Jasmine and Aladdin.
Oh, it's super cool back there.
Pre-COVID. It was so cool in there. Yeah. That was cooler than any other meet and greet location I think I've ever been to.
Like super private. It's all the way in the back. It's like really chill, yeah. And you're like surrounded too, like because you're so far in the back. Yes,
everything is very in theme. It's so cool.
Instead of like Donald in Mexico, where you're just like out on the walkway next to like a single wall. It's a little bit
very borderline inappropriate.
Oh yeah, extremely inappropriate. A culturally appropriated, weird. Yeah,
Donald Duck.
They tried. How about some observations in the recap video? The previously on. The shot of Ruby smiling at Billy. We're gonna meet some new characters in this, but the shot of Ruby smiling at Billy is an alternate take of the footage that was actually used in the season 1 episode that they pull it from, The Price of Gold. In the original episode, Emma and Henry walk behind her, so the alternate footage is all shot differently. It's lit differently. It shows this extra stuff sitting behind her. So they occasionally do that every once in a while when they need to, have it be specific, or they want to kind of retell the moment slightly because it needs to feed the future story, not the past story. Like in the past story, that moment may have been passed over or not happened in a certain way, or there's a certain look that they want to do. So if they have time and money, they will and they have the actors already in place. It's actually not too bad. They have a budget and a time frame to shoot alts in, which is what they call them. They're just versionings of the same stuff that they already put in the show. And they'll just sometimes they'll do an entire alt day where they're just like on one set, they'll do all the different versions of the stuff of a conversation or something. Which is extra time and extra money for the actors that are on set. It's just one of those pieces of the filming process that people don't think about, is whatever you see is not always the thing that gets reused. I like to play a fun game where I try to find the same scene, this quote unquote same scene that is supposed to be identical, and then find the things that prove that it was reshot because of a slightly different way that the character delivers a line or placement of a prop or something. It's actually kind of a fun little scavenger hunt game to see if you can poke a hole in. They're trying to tell me this is a memory, but really it's actually a new version of it. So anyway, if I find one, I'll point it out.
Oh, we have a recycled set piece.
I love it.
The computer-generated imagery model used for the Netherworld is recycled from the model created for the Dark Castle Great Hall foyer and vault. This can easily be seen from the identical design of the columns and archways.
See? They did what I just said. They're like, look at these identical things. Oh my God, hold on. Speaking of which, I just found, unrelated to this, I just found something on Twitter where these people are playing like a find 40-year-old floats in parades that are still running game. So they were showing pictures of the parade that was running. We're not going to talk about what year, but when I was young. It was like Mickey's birthday, and so it was like this special parade that ran for a couple of years. So they were showing the floats from that, which I freaked out about because it was the first parade I had ever been to, and the one that I have on all of my family vacations. The song in the background, which has been retired because it was a special event, and they were showing floats from it, and everybody in the thread was showing pictures doing this. They were identifying like these columns and look at the header of this thing. So the one of the Donald Duck float where that these people were on, they showed all these pictures from the 80s that this float was in, and it's the Haunted Mansion Hitchhiking Ghosts one. Like that's in use right now. And they were actually pointing out the things that were all the same on it, that they just pulled this panel off and replaced it with the same one. The one with the pirates on it used to be, remember I don't know if you remember the Prospector, old Prospector character. There was a bunch of like cowboys and stuff, and they were on these rocks with cactuses and stuff like that. And that was repurposed for all the pirates. In the pirate section. So they were like pointing out all the floats that we have now and where they were 40 years ago in shows.
Oh my gosh.
And people were pulling out like legacy archive footage of like old videos and like old photos that they had from 1991 or something of just this old show. Things, of course, the princess float that's reused 100,000 times and everything. But I love doing that. Just like finding like, oh, well, like the column and the archways on the doorknob, and like if you actually look, or the well, like we do that with the well all the time. Like it's the same well, it's just repurposed. So recycled sets are actually fun, especially if you
I think it's cool.
When you find it, it feels like you have a sense of accomplishment. You're like, oh, I gotcha. What else? How about a timeline thing? The Enchanted Forest flashbacks. I excluded most of the timeline stuff from this because it doesn't matter. They're like, this takes place after the episode before it and before the next episode. I'm like, I hate you, wiki people. Or they're
even this one is like borderline. Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, I get it. Well, the events of this episode are supposed to take place immediately after, like picking up from where the Red Riding Hood story stopped, which is actually a little bit important because it could have been sometime after. You know, like there could have been a time period between when she was like, but when we last saw her, she was running away from everyone. She had to leave because she was basically in exile. And we saw what happens, you know, when she ends up with Charming and they have to run away and she gets captured in King George and all that stuff, which is the last one. But now that they know she's a wolf, she's got to go. So this just takes place right after. Oh my God, we're at one of our favorite segments of the show. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be wondering when you see these amazing clothes that people are wearing, where these clothes come from. Well, we are happy to tell you that we have a little bit of insider information where we can share with you brand info.
First up, we have, I don't know how to say this word, and I wish you would take this one.
The beer steins at Granny's Diner. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
They are actually dimple steins from the company Libby Glass.
And Ruby is wearing a Free People Peacemaker print dress, unfortunately no longer available.
Speaking of no longer available, Belle's dress is a Stevie silk dress from Club Monaco, which is also no longer available. And on the next day, she wears a Vivian?
Vivian.
Let's call it Vivian. Vivian Westwood Angloma black Cosmopolita skirt in tartan. I hate these. Which is also no longer available.
And the necklace is actually a Final Fantasy Roman numeral Advent Children
7.
Cloud Furman wolf necklace.
Advent Children Cloud Fenrir. I'd like to point out that Fenrir is a character name in Harry Potter of one of the dark, whatever the servants are of Voldemort, with the tattoos.
Yep.
The one called Fenrir.
The Dark Mark, whatever they are.
The Fenrir guy whose name is Fenrir is a werewolf. Oh my god, coincidences that it's wolf related.
I'm sure it's not a coincidence.
Fenrir is probably like a wolf word in some language. And ladies and gentlemen,
probably Latin for wolf or some shit.
Yeah. And that concludes your brand info. Love that section. It's my favorite.
Me too.
We have to know where these things come from. Everybody looks so good. So, we gotta give the people what they want.
Keep up with it, And then we get into our final segment of the production note segment.
Hidden details. There are a bunch of hidden details randomly. I like these because they're like little nods to something similar to like the Fenrir name being a wolf related thing, but usually hidden details in props for the most part, or something that's like on the set behind them. So when they find whoever this Billy person is, when they find Billy's body, there is a blue star on the side of his truck, and that's a reference to the Blue Fairy, which is kind of nice. They have a couple.
The pendant on Anita's necklace has a wolf motif on it.
Because Anita is wolf den mother, obviously. And then Henry's protective necklace has the same symbol as Anita's gravestone, which is a moon with a dot in the middle. So these are like little things that you may not like realize and you wouldn't notice otherwise. But I those are nice for like what's in the hatch type things where you look out for them now that you know that they're coming, even though we don't know who Billy is and we don't know why Anita has a gravestone or what but just looking out for like necklaces and things like that and this blue star, and they're nice little just nods and moments that we can see these connections to. Speaking of what's in the hatch, we have a section that we have I should probably close out production notes first. Yay, production notes. Production notes. We have a section where I remember how to run the show. We have a section that we tribute to the Lost creators, or the executive producers of Lost that created this show, Adam and Edward. Put a bunch of Easter eggs in every episode. All over once upon a time. And we like to point them out in a section called What's in the Hatch, except there is nothing in the hatch. Because this episode does not have any Lost references. Go figure. Which means we can move on to the section
watching the show,
where we watch the show. Before we begin, we always like to remind everyone of the features of our watch party. We have a drinking game bell. So if you hear that bell, you can feel free to drink on a beverage of your choice, adults if you choose to, or snack on something, whatever. We make up the rules as we go, loosely created by our lovely friend Tanner Ann that you heard in the voicemail, who came up with a nice little list for us that we sometimes remember and try as hard as we can.
Add to it.
Sometimes we just make it up. But if you hear the drinking bell, then give yourself a drink. If you hear this little drink clink, that is kind of a toast moment, really just a nod to some of our production notes or something that we talked about earlier, something that we feel is not quite strong enough to be a drink but deserves a little recognition. We also have this sound, which is the sound of the episode starting and stopping among all of the chaos of our voices and the show. I like to just throw that in there so that you know that we are starting and stopping so that you can follow along. We also have an incredibly, I would say, bro. Sorry, I have to. The dog got real aggressive about shaking his collar off.
You have a very familiar voice on the show. That's not Mason's collar. It is.
Wouldn't it be great if I was like, Mason's collar's going to ring every time something happens? Sir, would you like to make yourself known?
Yeah, it's rewind time.
Will Smith?
Thank you so much, Will Smith.
Is that you, sir? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air himself? He will be letting us know that it is rewind time if we choose to go backwards to not talk over a scene because we did the first time. Or if we have something we'd like to point out. So we have some delightful other sound effects that we will pepper throughout the show. I promise they are not just clapping or bells. We have other sound effects other than that. And I'm saying that so that I remember to actually play them during the show. Because I never do. Ila is really good about keeping me honest and reminding me that I should do that. So the biggest moment that we made up out of thin air, we decided would happen during our show, is there is a reference to the title of the episode in pretty much every episode. Some of them are good, some of them are awful. But when they actually reference the name of the episode, we have a huge drinking moment. We'll have clapping, we'll have cheers, we'll have air horns. This is the moment you're looking out for. I know how to recognize a child of the moon. Wait, I just now realized that I have effects on here. And I can hold on. Child of the moon. There you go. Did you hear that?
I'm going to put my guess in. Anita says it.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I think she says it to Red.
If I was a betting man, just for funsies, I would bet that it was someone other than Anita, like anybody but Anita.
Okay,
that feels too obvious.
I'm gonna lock in my vote.
I think it really is Anita, but every time we've been wrong.
I know.
It's like something
That's why I like to put my
weird.
vote out so people know if I'm wrong, which I am most of the time.
Yeah. Oh man, I just realized that the echo is unprocessed. I got to go back and put it in. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did hear it.
I was trying to figure out. That's awesome that that's in there because now every time we do the title of the episode, I'm gonna do that. I know none of you
thought you were
care.
gonna do like a Drug Inc. voice, like the masked over.
Hold on, I can do that too. Wait, I have to do it like this. It's like, wait.
Like this? No, that's not. That's all right. Hold on. Wait. There we go. Child of the moon.
Like then we have to guess who says it.
Ooh, like it's masked, like the
Yeah, like Drug Inc.
I'm hiding my identity just to protect myself. But I have been a victim.
like that guy from the stupid the police shows.
Exactly.
That's
yes.
really funny. I got to figure out a way to get that effect onto that audio recording. This is going to be fun. No, it's fine. I got it. Now that we got the good idea, it's all good. Anyway, as we babble on, very excited to, unbeknownst to you, stop the recording and record at a future date. Watching the episode of season 2, episode 7 of episode 30 of our show, Child of the Moon. Woo! All right, and now we begin.
Hey, but we got through the whole first half.
And I got 30 minutes to spare. I love how transparent we are in the show. It makes it feel, I'm just thinking about if I was listening to a podcast and they were doing the shit that we're doing, how happy I would be. However, I also, once again, forgot to stop the goddamn recording. I always do that.